And now we are live. Hey, how are you?
I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to finally be doing this. We've been talking about this for a really long time. So, how
Likewise.
are you?
I'm good. I'm just thriving, healing, and cooking. That's what we do. And also, I just came back from Vegas a couple weeks, maybe like a week ago. It's been
Hmm.
about a week or so. And that was fun. Like, I'm not a big Vegas person, I don't gamble or all of those things, but
Hmm.
I do love music. And you
Yes, you
already
do.
know that. Yes, I will travel for some music.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
I traveled for EDM music this time. The festival was called EDC. And
Okay.
when I tell you, like, you know how like Coachella is like Coachella and it's like its own thing. The
Hmm.
buses that they built were so amazing, like just
Mm.
beautiful, huge lights, just like EDC, but it's like EDM music. And I mean, had helicopters. They had like a whole helicopter taxi situation. Yes.
Oh, that's different. That's over the
So,
top.
like,
Yeah.
people were taking helicopters from the strip to EDC.
How much was that? How much was that ride? I mean,
Um, I
was this
think
like a Uber helicopter situation? Like, what is
now
it?
you're gonna pay a couple $100.
Okay. Okay. That's, I mean,
Yeah,
I figured it's going to be, expensive, but I mean, how many people
yeah.
were at this event?
It was well over 70,000 people. It
Oh,
was
okay. So
wild.
this was, yeah,
It
this
was
was
huge.
big. And
Yeah,
this was
like
like the whole weekend, or
yeah, it was a whole weekend. But like
because I know
in
that you were
in
there for like
Vegas,
5 days.
EDC is a whole week. It's EDC week.
Oh,
Like they
okay.
have things going on every single day for
Hmm.
EDC
Hmm. Hmm.
all over Vegas. And I love that they had the Ubuntu stage, which
Hmm.
that is a nonprofit, and a lot of their proceeds
Hmm.
go to like building communities in Africa. So
Oh, that's
definitely here
amazing.
for the Ubuntu.
I'm surprised you still have energy to do this stuff.
I'm gonna turn that in. So that ain't going nowhere.
Right, right, right. It's in your blood. It's in your
It's
blood.
in there, you know. But
Oh, that's
yeah, that
awesome.
was a lovely. Definitely heard some soca samples, some little soca
Nice.
cues in there. Like I could like make out the melody of the songs and stuff. I was like, oh
Okay,
shit, let me
maybe
see.
I'll stop by next
They
year. Maybe
on
I'll stop
it.
by next year.
I'm like, all right, maybe let me go. No, so my next thing was let me find a Afro EDM festival to go to. So,
Mm.
I mean, that's what I love anyway. So I might as well
Hmm.
find a festival in that.
Hmm.
Oh,
Just
whirlwind
been
weekend. I
on
mean,
something.
Harvard feeling it, Diddy feeling it.
Yo, Harvard, actually, I mean, it's so interesting because, you know that there are like such large endowments that a lot of these colleges get, you know what I mean, Ivy League schools and private campuses and stuff, but you don't realize how big,
How
like
much, right?
how much, right? How
Yeah.
much of it is endowments from the government. You just think that, I mean, every year college students have to pay,
Hmm.
to get into college, and it is not cheap. And so you just think about just that, and you're like, all right, for each of the students, maybe Harvard, how many do they accept a year, right? Each of those students are paying how much money because it's not a cheap school. But then on top of that, you're also getting endowments from not only just government, but from nonprofits, I mean, you're a private
Hmm.
school.
Hmm.
And I
And
thought
your
private,
business.
I didn't understand. I didn't know that to be a private school, you can still get money from the government. I thought that that is what made it a public school. Like, so what's the difference? Actually, that's a great question. Do you know what is the difference between a public and a private school? Because I thought it was government funding. And clearly I was very mistaken. Or is all of this funding coming through things like the USAID, the USAID or NGOs, that it's government money that's being funneled through other corporations that are then given to these schools. You know what I mean? Like it's not directly from Department of Education per se, you know?
Yeah, sounds like a rabbit hole.
Definitely sounds like a rabbit hole. So, but yeah, Harvard, Diddy.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I feel like you follow the Diddy case a little bit different right now. The focus is Cassie,
Mm.
and the focus is like, you know, the lawsuit, the original lawsuit that Cassie had filed against Diddy. And we all saw that video, that, you know, horrific video, the vernacular of, you know, of today's day and age. It was a toxic relationship, right? To say the least. Um, and so I agree that, you know, her being a platform to be able to express herself and to be able to, you know, talk about
But
what
it's
was
not even,
happening.
I don't know if it's like per se platform, because this is a very traumatic, uncomfortable situation that she have to now go back into, where she
Mhm.
probably was very depressed and like, broken up with, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like she has to talk about it now because now it's in the public and it is a federal case at
Hoping that
this
this is
point.
a long case, that Cassie is just sort of the beginning of
Mhm.
many, the beginning of many witnesses, of many people that can, and from all different aspects. Again, I am just
I
hoping
mean,
that it just doesn't stop at Cassie's case
no,
and that
well,
it,
she just did her testimony. That was about a week. Then Kid Cudi did his testimony. Then they also
mhm.
had the assistant, was it Christina Quorum or
Oh,
something?
wait, Chris,
No, not
the,
no, not Christina
I
Quorum.
thought she was, no,
She
I was
is
going to say, that's
not
the one that's
showed
nowhere to be
up.
found.
She's disappeared.
No,
I don't
she's
know where the
nowhere.
fuck
Yeah,
she's at.
she has nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
She is the most implicated in this,
but
one of the
yeah,
most implicated this entire thing.
yeah,
And
she's the
she's nowhere to be
Maxwell
found. Yeah,
of this
well,
situation.
Maxine.
Maxine. Yeah, I
But
can't say I like nobody. I can't like nobody no more. Okay, I appreciate his art
yeah, yeah.
because
I like the distinction there. I like the distinction there. Now we no, seriously, it's a crazy world out here, you know. I feel like so many truths have been revealed. The veil is really becoming very thin on, you know, these rose-colored glasses that we have had for so long, you know, for the people that we have called the heroes and the, you know, basically the people who we have
put on a pedestal. All of those
put
people
on the
that you want
pedestal,
put
the
on a pedestal and be
celebrities.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this person is so amazing. Oh my gosh, I just love them. And they are fucking terrible.
People or bringing different options to people. What are some of the things that you like that you're hearing about, you know, that's coming out with plant-based
Well, I
protein?
definitely just read an article the other day about plant-based protein actually rivaling uh, like animal protein. And I've been telling people this for years. I don't understand why they haven't been taking it, but like it does make sense that you don't actually need animal protein. You know what I mean? Like you think about like what this animal protein is actually doing to your body, and it's not that you can't eat it, it's like how we do it, you know what I mean? Like we eat so much of it. Every single meal has to have like 3 4 different meats. Like when you think about, you go to a restaurant for breakfast and they have like the all American or the sampler or whatever, it has bacon, sausage, and something else. Like you don't need all of that meat every single meal, you know? And I think
Mhm.
if we kind of pulled it back a bit, then we would start seeing a little bit less disease.
Yep.
So
Oh, fructose, I mean.
how does the insulin resistance affect the brain over time?
Mm, very interesting. So the brain, when you think about what the brain is, it's basically the nervous system, the center of the nervous system in the whole body, but it connects to everything else, right? The nervous system is made up of basically a system of nerves. You have axons and dendrites, and they all speak to each other based on basically the neurotransmitters at the synapses of these things. So it's like a chain link, almost like what you think of like electricity. It's like a chain link of communication that happens. And yes, our body does have electricity, and this is what is allowing that communication to happen. Sugar, what it does is it basically numbs that. It numbs that process from happening. And so and it causes excitability. Okay, so there was a research project done with mice, and they gave one set of mice sugar and they gave the other set of mice cocaine, and they watched the brain waves signals on these mice.
Mm-hmm.
They watched the brain waves, and literally the exact same thing happened between cocaine and sugar with these mice that had never been introduced to it before. So these mice got sugar for the first time, and these mice got cocaine for the first time, and it literally their brains were operating the same exact way. So sugar, what it does is it numbs your nerves, but then it causes excitability. So after the excitability, right? It gets triggered and like this thing happens, then it calms the nerves. So that's why you get a high and then a low. You go and you have like either a lot of sugar or whatever, and all of a sudden when you get your crash, your sugar low, it's
Mm-hmm.
like everything gets sort of numbed down. Well, over time, that communication, it slows down, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here's where diabetes and constipation come together, is because that slowing down is, yes, it's happening on a level of, all of these enzymes and these neurotransmitters being able to speak to themselves. But over time, that's going to cause constipation in your body, because basically your intestines it starts to slow down. It starts to get sort of numb, right? And with all of the food that you're eating, low fiber, because most of the time, like I said, diabetes is high carbs and high sugar. So if you're eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, most likely you're not eating a lot of vegetables. And people must understand about fruits. Because sorry, I had misspoke before. I said sucrose and sucrose. It's fructose. Fructose is the only type of sugar. That's fruit sugar. That's the only type of sugar that your body actually can process without needing pancreas to release insulin. So when you eat fruits, the fruit goes straight to the body, straight to the intestine, straight through the metabolization and digestion process without needing the pancreas to release this insulin for you to be able to assimilate it to your body and get all the things. So what's the point of eating fruits? Well, it's because that's what gives you magnesium and potassium and vitamin C and zinc and magnesium. But then people want to go and take an iron pill or a multivitamin to be able to gather all of that minerals, when that pill, you look at the bottom back of the bottle, what is it actually composed of? Gelatin, glycerin capsules. That's stuff that does not process in your body. It doesn't metabolize in your body. So why is the constipation important? Because a lot of that stuff is, what's processed, and the things that are making your body break down, they're staying in your body for a really long time. So think about 3, 4, 5 days worth of food that's just sitting in your body. Because some people, I swear, do not go to the bathroom for like once a week.
Mm-hmm.
You think that, for people who are regular, you're like, that does not seem safe, and it's not. So
So,
constipation.
so someone with diabetes and long-term constipation, like, how concerned should they be about developing memory loss later on?
Well, here's the thing. There is your brain and your gut, they communicate, right?
Right.
So at some point you feel hungry. Where do you think that communication comes from? Do you think that the gut tells the brain that it's hungry, or do you think that the brain tells the gut that it's hungry?
I'm pretty sure that the gut tells the brain, and then the brain relays the message to the rest of the body.
That's correct. So this is your first brain, if you will. This
Right.
tells this to that it's hungry. And so all of those, there are nerves that surround your entire intestine. Your intestine, this is why they say that there is like your intestine, if you actually were to um like take it all out and put it in a straight line, that it would be like so many miles long, right?
Right.
Well, how can you have that much stuff inside of you and you look down, you're like, how does
Right.
that equate? Well, it's all shriveled up and it's all connected. Every single surface of all of your intestines is innervated by something called the mesentery. The mesentery is what keeps it all together. It's this web, basically, of tissue that keeps it all sort of in there. And it's not just all floating around and going all over the place, because then you'd have, knots and stuff forming around it. It's not like that. It's all this, like, it's almost like a fan. Like it looks like kind of like an octopus, if you will,
Mm.
that's all connected together, and it keeps it sort of organized. Now, that mesentery, it has nerves in it. So if you think about that and then you think about the brain, well, what does the brain look like? It's two hemispheres that basically are all connected and interwoven, sort of like the intestine, but it's just way more compact. And there are a lot of nerves in there. And so the brain and the brain and the gut, they both have this nervous system, and it communicates to each other through something called the vagus nerve, right? So the vagus nerve goes right down here. So where people faint say that they have vasovagal symptoms, is
Mm.
because this is the vagus nerve. It basically, you can trigger. This is where people can like trigger, people like falling asleep and stuff like that. These nerves are very sensitive. They're giving information from the brain, from the gut to the brain. 90% of the information comes from the gut, afferent, and 10% of the information comes from the brain, efferent. So you have afferent and efferent communication happening through, and it's all on an electric level going through neurons and nerves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're slowing down the gut, that means that 90% of the information is slowed down to the brain. Eventually, you will develop also a slowing down of the nerves and the conductivity within the mind, which is the brain.
Mm.
So this man, um, sorry, not this one. His name was, or well, sorry, it was called, the book is called The Mind Gut Connection. and the gastroenterologist's name was oh, Emerson Mayers. And he wrote Mind Gut. He was a gastroenterologist for like 35 years. And so the benefit of that was that he got to see his patients from the age of like 45 all the way to like 65, or even 70. And so he was able to follow them and see the progression of different diseases. And one of the things him with his growl,
All right, all right.
him and
Yes.
his growl.
All right. All right.
Ay, un
Ay,
Paco.
focus mo naman. Ay, kasi na. All right. I'm sorry. Well, they can walk outside if they want to. All right, go and take a nap or something. In fact,
Okay.
somebody walking outside.
Oh my gosh. That's Umbaco, everyone, by the way.
Yeah.
So Emerson Mayer, he was a gastroenterologist for 35 years. And the benefit of that was that he was able to see patients through their progression over 25 years. So he was able to analyze different patterns within, chronic diseases that they had and what they ended up developing. He said almost every single one of his Alzheimer's patients actually had constipation 20 years prior to their diagnosis of Alzheimer's. There was such a strong correlation between Alzheimer's and constipation. He literally ended up dedicating the rest of his life talking about what disease actually is. And basically, he said, along with also Professor Arnold Ehret, the mucusless diet system, right? The mucusless diet healing system. Strongly recommend this book. I'm reading it now for like the third time all over again. But both of them, they talk about basically the role of food and the role of basically food and nutrition in the body, and what is it that we are supposed to be not only eating, like what are the solutions, right? But also what are the problems that are connected to it and why? And disease or dis-ease, just like you said it, and you say it like that for a reason, is because it is a dis-ease of the body. All dis-ease is the same thing. It is mucus formulation in the body, pocketed or organized into one specific area. And sometimes there are genetic components to it. Sometimes there are, but I tell most of my patients, listen, it's not that a disease or disease runs in your family, it's that nobody runs in your family. It's that everybody has the same bad habits. No one's exercising, no one's eating fruits or vegetables. And so you're gonna have the same habits as your grandmother, as your mom, until somebody breaks that and breaks out of it to see that, okay, yes, there are some genetic components, but most of the time it's because you have the same habits. And so
Yeah,
you have to break
because
those habits.
when you think about, like you say that people hold different energy, right? And if something happens to them or their family, whatever generations prior, then they will have that same emotion, that same feeling, right? So
Mhm.
if you apply that to food, if you ate the same food for generations and generations and generations, your whole family, they always have gout, they always have
Mhm.
diabetes or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's connected to something different, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
you're passing on traditions, but is it really traditions or is it bad food behavior, you know?
And knowing the difference, because there are definitely some great things that have been passed down that we have forgotten, right?
Yeah.
There are like Western medicine is only been here for, the last, I'd say 150 years.
But what
And
about Chinese medicine?
what
And
about,
I mean,
herbal medicine,
we talk mess about, Chinese people in medicine, stuff like that or whatever, but they've been doing it for thousands of years. I mean, like I was even doing research on cannabis, the cannabis plant, and found out that they've been using it for medicine back in like 400 AD or something like that
Mhm,
in
mhm,
China.
mhm.
Like
The
that
thing is
number might be
that,
wrong, but like it was a long time ago.
mhm. Yeah, no, and that's the thing is that we've known a lot about a lot of this information for a really long time back into your ancestors. Like, yes, in the past, few generations, and depending on where you're from and where your family's from, it could be a little bit longer than that. But, there have been really good habits that were kept for generations and generations and generations, because at that time, people were, for the people who were in their land and they understood their land, they understood what was around them, their resources. They were not they were not in it for the consumerism or for the capital for capitalizing on other consumers other than themselves and their families. Now, things have become global corporations and things have become, you make a business out of something and now you are over consuming so that you can capitalize on something that was just a ancestral generational, trend that had happened, right? For instance, medicine women, shamans, people that used what was, they say there's something that I don't remember who said this, but that you are supposed to be able to live, a human should be able to live with what is 6 feet around them, like as a, diameter around, not diameter, but like as a 6 feet, basically
That's not a
six
lot
feet.
of space.
Well, think about it. That's crazy that COVID actually I
The
just
six
made
feet.
this connection with the 6 feet, but that was actually a saying that happened way long before COVID, that
Mm,
a human should be able to survive with what is 6 feet around him. Now, I mean, think about what that means, right? 6 feet around you, it's basically whatever is within your within your space. Now
yeah.
you can move around. It doesn't mean it has to be right there, but like humans should be able to have everything necessary to survive with basically right with them,
Hmm.
with who they are. Now, I think that it's very important to understand where you're from, where your family is from. Your microbiome has a lot to do with that, right? It has a lot to do with what foods that you're able to process and digest. So I'm saying, people from different parts of the world, it may speak differently to them, their needs and their necessities, right? Because, that's what your microbiome can
Process.
digest and can process. Um, so yeah, I think that well, for the three, diabetes, constipation, and Alzheimer's, it really comes down to digesting and metabolizing food and allowing all of your organs to work as a system. And every day that process should be happening. Metabolizing, digesting, metabolizing.
Basically, what you're saying is when you are up during the day, you're supposed
Mhm.
to, first off, eat your heaviest meal like around 12 o'clock when the sun is highest in the sky. That's when you eat your heaviest meal. When you wake up in the morning, if you wake up early in the morning, you wake up with the sun and you drink like water and lemon or whatever. Now, when you
Exactly.
eat that meal at 12 o'clock or so, your body is supposed to have that time to break it down. So that's when your body is digesting.
Digesting the food. Mhm.
Now that's why they say don't eat like 3 hours or 4 hours before you go to sleep, because
That's correct.
when you go to sleep, your body is supposed to be metabolizing the food that it just digested, and it's supposed to
That's
have
correct.
time to rebuild the cells and put your body back together from all the stuff
Exactly.
that you did that day. Now, if
Exactly.
you eat right before you go to sleep, that means that your body is now spending that time that it was supposed to be fixing you and putting you back together like Humpty
Digesting.
Dumpty.
Yep.
Now it's spending
Exactly.
that time digesting your food. So then when you wake up, first off, you're gonna be hot in the middle of the night. It's gonna feel like a computer is overrun and you in the middle of the night, you waking up and you bursting, taking off clothes because your body is working so hard to
Yep.
digest and to do the Humpty Dumpty put you back together because it's still got to
Yep.
do both. Still got
Yep.
to do both. So then you
Yep.
probably wake up feeling tired because your body was
Hmm.
working so damn hard last night.
And it didn't have time to make the iron that you need. So now you're also feeling sleepy because you're low in you have iron deficiency, which can eventually lead to anemia. I mean, that's going to be a whole different. Well, we can talk about that part later, but there's a lot of things that start piling up and all of this
Mm.
stuff. So then, a lot of people ask me, okay, so fine, you have protein. Oh, well, going to the plant-based protein. So how do you basically, now that you know the problem, what's the solution? The mucusless diet healing system basically
You ain't
talks
letting
about,
me ask no questions.
oh, geez. Okay, go ahead.
I'm saying, why am I here?
Go ahead, but you got to jump in and ask the questions.
Because you just be
I will
talking.
keep talking and talking. That's how I am. I'll just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, I got really back in.
Go ahead.
So, so we talked about all of the different parts of what happens, how this even happens to your body, and then like what you're doing. How can we prevent it, or like what kind of changes can we make to actually not have these problems later on?
Well, I mean, it basically is a lot of it is what are you willing to do to change? You know, um, you know, when you talk
Like, let's say
to,
I'm here, I'm day one, I'm like, look, my body needs to change. I'm doing the wrong things, and I'm here, I'm ready to change. What are you going to tell me to do?
well, it really depends on what you are currently doing. Everybody knows what their weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, so my first thing would probably be this. Do you know exactly what it is that you have? If we're talking about you have diabetes, if we're talking about you have Alzheimer's, you have constipation, whatever it is that you have, whatever your diagnosis is, because most likely it's coming from the same thing.
Let's
85% of
say I
disease.
have diabetes and I've been experiencing constipation for like the past 6 months.
Mhm. First,
And
I would say, oh,
oh, go ahead.
okay. First, I would say, do you have recent labs? You know, um, well, hold on, time out. We're gonna have to take this part out.
We got 5 minutes.
Am I speaking from a PA perspective, or am I speaking from the perspective of like we're just having a conversation?
What do you mean?
Well, because from a PA perspective, I'd be talking about labs, I'd be talking about, your kidney function
Yeah,
and
we're
all this
talking
stuff.
about like this is like real people. We're talking to like listeners that have these issues and
Okay.
they want to make some changes in their life. We're talking to real people.
Okay. So then take that last part out about the labs.
Yeah.
Because right now. So if you have diabetes, you've had constipation for the past 6 months, the first thing I'd ask is, if I was in a day in your shoes and we were eating together, what would we be eating today? Like on a normal basis, what
Mm,
would we be eating? And usually, if I know that you have diabetes, I know you have constipation, you don't have to tell me. I already know that you have a high carb intake and you probably have a high sugar intake. And most of the time, it's usually coming in the drink form, something that you're drinking. And you probably have a high meat intake because constipation's there. You probably have a very low fiber intake, maybe not a lot of water, or some type of like, liquid that is promoting digestion and metabolization. And so I would probably start, we'd have a long conversation about what it is that you already eat so that we can sort of gear and point out, okay, what are the things that we can make some changes with, right?
mm,
What are your favorite things? And maybe those will be the last, right? Because I'm not going to, this is not a diet. This is not a short-term goal that you can, oh my gosh, I lost 20 pounds and oh my gosh, my numbers got better. But then you just go right back to it. It's going to keep happening. You need to understand why is this stuff happening and how serious, a lot of people wait for a diagnosis. They wait for a diagnosis to make certain changes because you hear a lot of people, or a lot of people as you get older, grandma can't eat salt. The doctors told grandma that whatever. And then it becomes, oh, well, auntie can't, da, 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 da. So we all wait for the diagnosis for the doctors to say, don't eat these certain things. Right. So it's understanding that these are lifestyle changes. This is not just a diet that you're going to put the cookies away for, a couple months. It becomes then a question of what are you willing to do? Right. And can you make that transition? And then can that transition become a reality that you understand why these, and you can enjoy the process at the end of the day? Because if this is all forced, it's not gonna work. This needs to be an enjoyable process. And so meeting yourself where you're at, I would say definitely one of the first things, stop drinking the sodas, even the diet sodas. Stop drinking the Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks morning, extra sugars and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And start, because then a lot of people talk about, oh, well, this stuff is really expensive to buy. Well, if you can make certain changes, you're not spending that extra money, but now you can maybe have vegetables. It's more fiber in diet, definitely for constipation, vegetables. I also tell people, there's some medications that people take that sort of to help,
mhm.
um, with symptoms. Take your foods, eat your medicine as opposed to taking these certain pills.
So I guess like to pull it together, I would say that drink more water, don't drink diet sodas, stay away from sodas, uh, eat whole fruit instead of drinking fruit juice. And if you are going to drink fruit juice, probably like 100% fruit that's like not from
Or make it
processed.
yourself.
And then probably staying away from a lot of processed foods would be a good idea.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's what I took away from
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah, definitely. It's just making conscious choices, between certain things. And there are some things that, listen, we're not perfect, right? You have your favorites and you can give yourself that, you know, cheat meal, if you will, not a whole cheat day or a whole cheat week, but, you can give yourself understanding that you can give yourself those, what is it called? Yeah, I
You
guess
can
cheat
give
meals.
yourself grace, but you don't
Yes,
have to
grace.
do that every so over this whole course of time, we've been talking about diabetes, constipation, and Alzheimer's and how they're connected and what we can do in order to not have these problems later on in life. Because I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like, we want to do preventative medicine so we're not sick. Like, nobody has time for this, or like the vibes, or the money, for real, for real. So it kind of makes sense to spend a little bit more in the grocery store right now instead of like having debilitating issues later on. I mean, I don't know, but like that kind of makes sense to me for real.
Mhm.
Um, but also like I can't remember my point.
No, no, I think I it's okay. I think that it gets tied in because, yes, you want to be able to make the best choices with the foods that you're eating, but it's hard because if you have a basis that you're trying to change one lifestyle, you walk into the grocery store and you're like, yes, motivated, I want to do all of the things right. I
And
know what
that's
foods
the
I should be
problem that
eating,
I
shouldn't be
see
eating.
with
Yeah.
a lot of people in my field. Like when I talk to different people, because they're like, you're a chef, this, that, and the third. And they're like, they don't know what to eat. Like they would love
Hmm.
to do all of these things, but one, they're intimidated. So they don't really like think that they can cook. It's not that hard. You really don't need that many things. Like some salt, pepper, garlic, and thyme, and you can do a beautiful job. You know what I
Listen,
mean?
I've seen people burn water. Okay. So I know that I'm like, I don't think a lot of people know this yet, but you are a private chef and you have been in the field, in the industry for, I think over, at least over 10 years for sure.
It's been more than
But
a decade.
yeah, I'm like, to you may not be intimidating, but I've seen people struggle literally with just like a simple, okay, let's make
But
an egg.
look, I'm
You know
telling
what I
you
mean? So
from
I'm like,
like
they're
where I
from,
started,
you know?
I mean, like, yes, granted, I started cooking when I was really young because I was always a curious kid,
Hmm.
and I'm going to ask all the questions. Like,
Hmm.
might get tired of me asking all the questions, which my grandmother probably did. But
Let's talk about it right here, right now, because you're going to go to the grocery store. And if you stay tuned for next week, you'll figure out what to do with those foods. Because a lot of people, I think that they can conceptualize what good things are, right? If you
mm,
stick on the outside rim of the grocery store, you're going to get the produce, you're going to get fresh things, you're going to get things that are in the refrigerator, the freezer, whatever, eggs, and things that are more whole foods. In the middle of the grocery store, what are you going to get? Processed foods, right?
mm,
So if you can, it's one aspect of being intimidated to go and actually buy all of these things. But I think the other aspect is too, like, how do you cook these? How do you make these taste good? You
mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
And
And
then
like,
also, if you have to buy like a whole thing of something and you're just making one dish and you live alone, what do I do with the rest of it?
yep,
Like,
leftovers. Yep,
and
yep.
then even if like let's say you buy like a spice to make a certain dish, like I don't know, I bought some Ras al Hanout the other day. I enjoy
Never
that
even heard of
spice.
it.
Yeah, I learned about it when I worked at a restaurant one time, and it was this Moroccan restaurant. They use it a lot in Moroccan dishes and food and stuff like that. And it's beautiful. It's a very, very delicious thing. But I mean, I've had it in ice cream. You would never think to
Mm-hmm.
put that in ice cream.
Wow.
I know it was so good.
Is it like spicy? What is it?
It's like if chai tea had a spice, it would be similar to that.
Mm. Okay. I'm getting the hint of it. A
Yeah,
nutmeggy kind of
cinnamon
little
earthy,
cinnamon.
like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
It's a really nice spice, but like if you buy that thing, you don't know what to do with it. What you gonna do with it? You know what I mean? So it's also
Yeah.
thinking about like how can I use this again? And for
Yeah.
me personally, I would recommend going with the region of like a place. Just pick a place. Say you want Greek, those spices and herbs interchange a lot with that type of cuisine. And
Mm,
in that area, when you pick those different regions, you can see that those spices kind of interchange with other dishes around that area as well. So
mm,
if you're intimidated about cooking, just pick a place that you like and
mm,
then start from there.
mm. Okay. Um, so I think that or you have prepared menu for us.
Uh-huh.
And it's different foods that, just like talking about these alternatives,
Right.
right? If like the foods that you love, I'm you can usually find a good healthy alternative to those things. If you have a sugar craving, it's usually related to a certain deficiency. If you have like a salt craving, it's usually related to a certain deficiency. And I can't remember off the top of my head which each one of the cravings relate to, but there's a
Mm.
chart that will show you. And so like making finding those alternatives, but then also, like I said, making them taste good. You came up with a great menu.
What I was looking into was different ingredients that I could use that would help these different ailments. So
Mhm,
diabetes, Alzheimer's, and constipation. When I think about constipation, I always think about my parents, and they would always say, "You have to eat your roughin." And your roughin is like your root, like rough vegetables. Those are
mm,
the things that are gonna like pull all of those things off of your like the side walls of your intestines and stuff like that and help
mhm,
you to have like an actual regular flow.
yeah,
So, we put some root vegetables in here. You have some parsnips, you have some beets, which is gonna give you iron,
mhm,
can give you a lot of like nutrients that you actually need. And
yep,
then we try to kind of like, if you're going to eat rice, let's kind of like switch it out with something else that's similar to rice. You're going to get like that similar texture, but it's going to be 10 times better for you than just like the plain rice.
yep.
And you can get rice that is good for you. Like, I mean, I have this one rice that's like, I think it's 15 different grains,
Mhm, yep.
and
Whole grains, black rice, wild rice.
it's
Yep.
like black, wild, red. There's like
Mhm,
little pellet ones. Like,
yep.
it's really dope. But I saw it and I was like, yes, let me get that. Ancient
I know. I'm
grains
like
in there.
right. The more colorful. You know what I mean? They say eat
Yeah.
the rainbow. The more colorful, the better that
And
the
that,
stuff in it.
you saying eat the rainbow, that is like exactly right, because that's how I create a dish. Like, I look at the different colors of the foods that I'm putting on a dish. If I'm
Hmm.
hitting the rainbow, I'm hitting all of the charts, like all of the places on the charts that I need to hit.
Hmm.
So then I'm getting
Vitamins,
a
different types of
full,
vitamins, different type of minerals, different types of,
exactly.
yep,
Which is
the
why like
basics.
I've probably never really had to like, you know, do like the whole counting calories or, that type of managing, because I've basically ate like this since I was like in college.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's pretty much where this kind of like started for me, because I was on a strict diet of don't get fat. That was my diet. This is what we're not doing, okay? Because it's heavy. They be tired. Like, I don't want that for myself.
What is the biggest you've ever been?
131 pounds,
And how tall are you?
5'5".
5'5".
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, based on your BMI, you've always been pretty much at goal.
But I thought about it. It wasn't because, I was just like, I don't know,
Was
like
your
careless.
is your family? Do you have family members that are on the bigger
Mm-hmm.
side?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And
Do you
that
eat
was,
differently from them?
yeah.
Okay. Because you've
I
been conscious of
When
it.
I was younger, when I was a kid, I realized that I didn't really like meat. So what I would do was I would trade my meat with my brother, because he always finished his chicken
Oh my
and
gosh.
I never finished my chicken. I didn't
Yep.
want it.
Yep.
So one day I got smart and I was like, "Hey, so you want my chicken? I'll eat all your potatoes."
Okay, so you wanted the carbs instead. Gotcha.
Because I mean, I'll eat the potatoes. You can take the
Yep.
chicken. I don't want
Yep.
that.
Yep. 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 Yep.
It's weird. I don't want it. No.
That's
So
funny.
after that day, I figured that out, and that's what I would do. Like, we would switch and whatever. And then, my mom, I don't know if she kind of figured it out or if I just told her like, look, I don't want no meat. And
Mm-hmm.
like I I kind of was like, okay, like cool with like I don't know, like I got through because my grandfather didn't eat meat either. He ate fish once a week and that was it. Like he's vegetarian
Okay.
and ate fish 1 day a week.
Okay.
So
Okay. So
like
you had somebody sort of similar with a
yeah,
similar,
similar-ish,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even though like we didn't live together throughout like this whole time while I was like discovering my food journey and everything like that, but since I think like she had experience with like her dad and like how he eats and stuff like that, she would like make me my own food. Like she would like cook the food
Mm.
and not put meat in it, and then she would like make the meat separate. So then they would eat the meat or whatever. I would eat the rest of the stuff without the meat, which was like
Okay.
really dope. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'll make me my own food.
It's special. She's special or something. A little spoiled, but that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay. I love her though. That's my
Oh my
boo.
gosh. But I mean, no, I think that's something that probably speaks a lot to the ability for you to be able to explore these different meals and stuff like that and know how to make it so that it tastes good. It tastes good without meat, which is something that, a lot of people, of course, a lot of people eat meat. And, if that's what you want to do, right? Even if you still want to incorporate meat sometimes, right, in your
Hmm.
meals, it's knowing, again, what are the better choices throughout the other times that you're
Hmm.
not? How do you
And
have
that's the
vegetable?
thing. It's like you don't have to not eat meat every single day, or you don't have to be condemned for eating meat.
Yeah.
It's just think about one, where your meat is coming from. If
Mm-hmm.
you're going to McDonald's, where is that coming from? Is it actually meat? Is it coming from a
Mm-hmm.
cow?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's so
But
interesting.
you can choose to eat like In and Out instead of
Yeah,
McDonald's. In and
yeah,
Out, their meat comes from within 100 miles of their location.
I did
Like
not
it
know
has
that.
to. It's their rule. It has to
I
come
did not
within
know
a
that.
hundred miles of that location.
Well,
So you know you're getting real meat and it's
right, right,
fresh.
right,
You
right,
see
right.
them
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cutting
yeah.
the
Like if
French
you still
fries.
want to make that decision, right,
They
at least
cut the
you're making,
potatoes. It's a
yeah,
real potato.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I had In-N-Out not too long ago. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I had not had it in, I would say, at least a year, maybe
Mhm.
more. You know what I mean? Best burger I've had in a really long time,
It's delicious. They do
But
a good
but again,
job.
you know what I mean? I'll do it once a year,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing too, is it's like, okay, on average, people put something in their mouth 65 times a day. Of those 65 times, what are you doing that's good for you?
Hmm.
And when people are like, and what is good for you? And most people know. Most people know what is good for you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So, but if you are making some trade-offs where, okay, maybe 20 times a day you're putting something that's like, whatever, but those other 45, those other 30 times, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
again, giving yourself that cheat meal because sometimes being so strict with yourself, your body, you know what I mean, will go through some translations, some
Transitions.
changes, some transitions, right? Some translations.
Changes.
Right, exactly, going through some transitions and you know what I mean? You want to meet yourself where you're at too, right? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But making sure that you are constantly on track. So learning how to shop, that is very, very, very important. It could be intimidating. Um, like you said, if you don't know what to necessarily do with the foods, how to buy the foods,
Yeah.
what are you looking for? You know what I mean?
Because
Because I mean,
even
most
look,
people think like you probably just eat what? Leaves all day?
I'm like,
Because
they think that that's
right.
what vegetarian is, and they either try to give you pasta or a salad.
Yeah.
And like, I like salad ish, but I
Hmm.
don't want a salad every day. God damn it, I don't want
Yeah.
it. I do not want. I
Yeah.
did that for a while. I ate
Same.
salads every single day, and they're good. I don't mind eating a salad along with my meal. You
What
know
is
what I
your
mean?
meal?
Like the salad might be like a good half portion of what I'm eating. And then I might have like some rice and beans with like some spinach sauteed or like some mushrooms. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
primavera, like just like a vegetable primavera with like sauce or something with like capers. I love capers. A caper
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
lemon sauce with some grilled mushroom, maitake mushrooms. Get out of here.
See, I don't know that I understood maybe at least two of the words that you said right there, but sounds delicious. It does sound delicious. No, see, this is my thing. Like you know,
And here's
basic,
the thing.
basic.
So,
So
and
I'm
the
excited to learn from
way,
I'm excited to learn some of these techniques that you talk about because I personally I love her food. I personally love her food. But I'm not one that's like, oh, teach me how to make it. No, 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 no. But to learn on my own. Now that we're in two separate states, right? It was easier when we were in one state, it was
it's
very easy. I could eat, but
easy
now
because you
I
can
am very
watch.
excited.
Yeah.
Yes, I could watch, but now I get to actually watch how you make this food. So I'm very excited about that. And I
Yeah.
will be taking notes this time.
Take notes.
Definitely.
Super, super simple. I mean, it's honestly about how do you break it down for yourself to make
Mhm.
it easy. Like, and when I first started, I used the flavor Bible. I still use the flavor Bible. There is stuff in there that I have not discovered yet.
The flavor Bible. That sounds very familiar.
Hold on 1 second. Let me go get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so for a lot of stuff that I don't really know or I've never experienced before, like I said earlier, I'm very curious. So I don't know everything about food, but I do use the flavor Bible, which is this one right here. I would definitely recommend getting it because let's say you want to make fennel. You've never
Mhm.
made fennel before. You don't know what the hell to do with this daggone thing. What you do is you go in here and you look up fennel. And
She's giving us a cheat code right now.
this is the code. This is the code. Like we're
The
not all
cheat
geniuses
code.
out here, guys. Like we're
I'm
not.
just saying.
So let's say, okay, earlier we were talking about Greek cuisine, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes,
in
yes.
here, it'll tell you
Look at her, look at her.
Greek cuisine. And
Wow,
then
Greek cuisine. And then it will tell you what
and
all of the
then
things that
it'll tell you the different spices and herbs and ingredients that is typically used in this cuisine.
okay.
Now, you as a creative person, you can put some of these ingredients together and create your own thing. You know what I mean? Like if you know that you can use beef, you can use bay leaves, you can use cinnamon, you can use eggplant, garlic,
Wow.
you can make kebabs, so then you have a bunch of these different vegetables. You can get some chicken, you can get some bell peppers, you get, some of these spices and put together something, you know what I mean? And there you
Very
go, you have a
interesting.
dish. Like
You know what that
it
just sounded like to me?
or
Do you remember that show where people would come on and they would get chopped? They would
mm,
give them a basket and they'd be
yeah,
like, all right, open up the basket. And it was like, you
yeah,
know, goat eggs, goat eggs, goat milk, and right? Goat egg,
yeah,
ostrich eggs, and you know what I mean? Some weird vegetable that nobody's ever heard of before. You know what I mean? All of this like random stuff. And then, it'd be like a pig head. Okay, here you go. Make something.
yeah.
I'm like, mm.
And you're looking at it
Mind
like
you, your brain is like calculating. Okay, well, technically the goat milk and the goat cheese goes with this, and blah, blah, blah.
in a way, but then in another way, I'm thinking, what region do I want to go to?
Huh.
Because if I see all of these ingredients, like all of these like whole ingredients, then
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, okay, I can add spices and herbs, and that's going to take me to the region. So, where do I
Yep.
want to go? Do I want to go to Mexico? Do I want to go to Greece? Do I want to go to Thailand? I want to go
Mm-hmm.
to Japan? Like, where do I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Mexico. Then I'm pulling certain spices. I'm pulling like paprika. I'm pulling like
Hmm.
chili,
Yep.
cumin, coriander, those types of things, because that goes with that region. And it's just gonna
Very
like
interesting.
it's just gonna like amplify what I'm making
Hmm.
with those ingredients. Like I'm just like because the ingredients, what you're using, like those like proteins and stuff like that, you're just trying to showcase them. And where you
Right.
take it
Right.
is how you're
Is
showcasing.
your, yep.
So what
The way
kind
that
of
you
box
cook
are you
it, the way
putting
that
it
you
in?
season it in. Yep.
Yeah, am
Exactly.
I putting it in Asia? Am I putting it in Africa? Like, where am I putting these ingredients?
Hmm.
So
I
once you
think,
think about like where you are, then it kind of makes it a little bit easy, for real, for real.
yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I think if you have that ability to just like, mesh between, okay, I'm going to do Mexican tonight, which I think most people have that general understanding of like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we're doing Mexican tonight. Okay, we're doing Italian tonight. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing, you know what I mean?
Because
Like,
a
I think
lot of
most
people do
people
have these nights. Like, I mean, I didn't grow up this way, but I do know a lot of people that had like they had
Taco
taco night
Tuesday,
and they
Taco
had
Tuesday.
pasta night and they had
Yeah,
meatloaf night. Like that's what they
yeah,
did. My house
yeah.
wasn't like that. I don't know. We was random.
Yeah, my
We
mom was
was
pretty
like, what you
random too.
cook?
It wasn't, yeah, it was random. But I feel like for me, my tendency is to bring whatever meal it is to my culture. There's like
Yeah.
staple ingredients I always cook with. And
Mm.
so it's like no matter what it is, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna start with some sofrito. You know what I mean? Like we just gonna start it off with that. We'll see where this goes here, but at least we got some sofrito going, you know what I mean?
Yo, every Puerto Rican is the same.
It's because that's the base. Like the food doesn't taste right without the sofrito. So, and
It
I
don't.
make my homemade. So it's like, all right, you just start with the base and then you figure it out afterwards. Okay, how's the goat
Yeah.
cheese gonna fit in here? I don't know, but the sofrito gonna make it taste better. So for me, it's not no region. I don't care where we are. We in Thailand, sofrito. We good,
Sofrito. Look, y'all gonna have some sofrito today, okay? Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. No offense to anybody, but yes, I feel like I have a base that I always go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like for you, you're so flexible to be able to just like embrace, you know, a cuisine from a different culture, you know what I mean? And just like pull that together. So that's why I'm really excited for people to cook with you. I think we should go shopping first and,
Absolutely.
we'll take it from there.
Well, Chanel's definitely gonna take you to the grocery store, and she's gonna pick up some different items. She's gonna show you how what to look at when you're looking at these items, so then that way you can make like better choices. And
Hi guys, welcome to Shopping with Chanel. I'm going to give you guys a couple of pointers about things that better options that you can make. Understandably, I know things cost money. Everything is going up. It's hard to find sometimes, like natural sources. Hard to find organic. So I'm going to be kind of going through what are some options. Not necessarily, changing your life around, but just looking at certain things that you're eating and seeing if there's a good alternative. So avocado is definitely a staple in my house. I have to choice between smaller avocados and larger avocados. Go with the larger ones. But right now, this is a selection that we have. Again, we're going to work with what we have. So how do you choose a good avocado? Well, you want to go right to the top of it and to the bottom. And if you can kind of see how there's a little bit of give here, the more give, kind of got to get a good balance in between. The more give that it has, the better it is. If it has too much give, right here. If it has too much give, that's already going bad, right? So you want to find one that is a little bit of give, top. There are some that you're going to find that are really, really, really hard. They have no give. Usually they're brighter color. So those are the ones that if you're going to wait a while, like if you want to have avocados for the whole week, grab a couple of these to start off with, a couple of these. You can actually stick these in the refrigerator. They're going to stop them from ripening too fast. So yeah, definitely always have avocados. This week we are going to be having a lot of avocado dressing meals. So make sure you grab a couple of avocados, and Denise will show you how to prepare. When you're looking for a good source of fat and a good source of good cholesterols, nuts are a great alternative to meat, to certain milks. You can actually blend nuts down, and they will create a milk. All right, so the next thing on our list of things to buy is beets. So beets are actually beets grow on the ground and they suck up a lot of minerals. And the color that you're going to see when you open these up is a very rich red. These can be juiced, they can also be pickled, and they can also just be eaten by steamed. Denise, I'm sure, is going to have a way better preparation and something that's very tasty, but these are great iron source. One thing that I like to tell people though is be careful, don't do this every single day. You will notice that it stains your insides, and so when it goes in, it looks like that coming out too. So just be aware of that. Also, these can be cooked. These are like chards, greens, kind of like collard greens. But yeah, we're gonna grab some meats for our meal this week. I gotta be honest with you guys, I really didn't know what a parsnip is. So originally, I thought we were going in this family, right? And it sort of is, but you're gonna keep going down the line. It actually looks like a white carrot. This is a parsnip. Right here. So basically it looks like a white carrot. It is kind of like a carrot in the sense that it has a lot of vitamin C. This is also a root vegetable, so again, grows in the ground. Any vegetable that grows in the ground has tons of minerals, tons of vitamins, particularly vitamin C. So let's see what we get with the beets and the parsnip. When it comes to oils, we're looking for good cholesterols. So cholesterol that are going to be able to digest and metabolize in the body appropriately. The best options are coconut oil, rapeseed oil, depending on the using typically. Rapeseed oil and coconut oil are better for medium to high heats. If you're going to do low heat or just like a drizzle on top, try extra virgin olive oil, especially Greek olive oil. Those are the best kinds. Something like this, if you can find olive oil with polyphenol in it, it's definitely a better option, but you definitely want to stay away from the canola vegetable oil and do not use olive oil to fry. When you're looking for a good source of fats, mixed nuts toasted or just blended, eaten raw with dried fruits is a good way of getting your good fats, good cholesterols, as well as fiber. There's all different types. I usually say make sure that you go with the non-salty one, especially if you're going to use it in a recipe. You don't want the extra salt. You can soak them, and I recommend that you soak any of them at least, a few hours if you can. Overnight would be great, and then just let them dry out. That will also release the lectins. So, there's a bad rep kind of for bad lectins, and yes, they will release lectins if you soak them overnight. Just like if with dried beans, it helps to release that outer layer that's really hard for our bodies to break down and to digest. So my favorite ones are walnuts, cashews. I'm not sure if we have cashews here, but cashews, Brazil nuts, those are my favorite. Toasted pine nuts are, we just take a look again at the nutritional facts. So I like to first look at the ingredients, make sure that it's one ingredient, the less ingredients, the better, and then look at what you're getting out of this value. So the serving size is going to be about 3 tablespoons, and you're going to get good fats here. There's some saturated fats. There's no trans fat. That's what you want to look for, is trans fat. That's usually the stickier fat. And then you take a look. There's no cholesterol here. So we'll go into that a little bit more. What's the difference between a trans fat and a cholesterol? As far as cholesterol, this is what's producing kind of that, what the liver will produce, right? So liver produces cholesterol. There's different types of cholesterol. There's your total cholesterol. There's your triglycerides. There's your HDLs, which are considered to be good cholesterols, and your LDLs, which are considered to be bad cholesterols. All of this just translates down to different types of fat. When you look at the standard American diet, you have protein, you have fat, you have a fiber or a vegetable, and this will be considered under the fats. So when we're looking at what are the good types of fats, you want to have low cholesterol, low trans fats, some trans saturated fats. And this is good for brain health. This is good for just overall how your body is metabolizing and digesting it needs good fats, and also for your organ health. Now, coming down here, the most important part of all of this is, yes, you get some carbs, but a lot of it's your actually fiber. So again, fiber is like basically the way that your body is able to push forth the food. You want to look for kind of almost like a broom system. You want the food that's going into your body to come out. Very important. Go to the bathroom every single day. We're going to talk more about that, constipation. But nuts are a great source to basically keep the system going. Pine nuts. All right, so we're looking for good sources of carbs. Rice is a big one, especially in my culture. So rice, look at it, let's say basmati rice or jasmine rice, right? This one says gluten free. This one doesn't. So let's start with the one that doesn't say gluten free. White basmati rice, you want to take a look at the ingredients. You always want to look at your nutritional facts. And the first things I like to look at is cholesterol, 0 cholesterol, and then carbs. Now, this is about a quarter cup dry is one serving, and you're going to get 36 grams of carbs, barely any fiber. And then these say sugars, but when you think about what a carb is, it's going to actually break down in your body as a sugar. So let's take a look at this. This option says jasmine rice is gluten-free. Again, another quarter cup, still the same amount of carbs, not any difference in fiber. So not necessarily a better option when you're looking for, bringing down the amount of carbs that you're bringing in, and what other nutrients or vitamins or, benefits you're getting out of it. So this is quinoa. Actually, before we go to quinoa, let's go to brown basmati rice. People think brown is, brown rice, or that's better. So we take a look at this, and same thing, quarter cup, and total carbs, 34 grams, a little bit more fiber, right? So that's a better option. We take a look at quinoa. It's a grain. This is organic quinoa. This is, again, quarter cup. And when you actually look down here, no cholesterol, no sodium, 29 grams of carb, a lot more fiber, 3 grams of fiber, 11%. So no sugars. You want higher fiber because you actually want the body to be able to digest and metabolize. So it doesn't utilize all of this fat. So quinoa is actually better because it has not only carbs, but it also has fiber. And this is also going to be this is on the menu for this week. So Denise will show you how to prepare this. Delicious. Put it in almost any single meal. It's amazing. Tastes really good.
Like, that's it. We in here, okay? We're getting better together, okay? We don't know everything, but we will learn together. And we're going to be healthy, okay?
Yeah, no, we're growing. This is a process, it's a process.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for joining us today. I really had a really good time having this conversation and exploring these different topics. Let us know if you want us to explore other topics, like different ailments and stuff like that. And let's continue to thrive, heal, and cook together.
And if you enjoyed this, please share with a friend, subscribe, and we are excited to see you guys next week so we can cook together too.
Yes, let's do it. Go to the grocery store. Don't forget.
Yes, don't forget.